Founders of Alexandria. By Star Scribe. Part 4. Interlude. Changelings are enigmatic beings, largely unknown throughout equestrian history despite coexisting with ponies at various points since its founding and likely before. Several of the ancient masters mention beings that are or might have been changelings. To our knowledge, the essence of no changeling has been incorporated into the preservation spell. Unfortunately, the clandestine nature of these beings practically assures a few managed to make changes insignificant enough that they could not be prevented. Even the smallest weighting of probability is guaranteed to manifest given the staggering numbers of humans present prior to thaumic manifestation. To those unfortunate enough to find themselves in the body of a changeling, we are sorry we could not prevent what you are experiencing. We are sorry we cannot provide you with more. Princess Celestia would have you know that the antagonism and fear ponies feel for you was well earned in Equestria, but that does not make you party to it. She hopes a new world of ponies might also be an opportunity for reconciliation, and that you might live in harmony with the ponies who rebuild humanity's world. Riley the Changeling Queen rested securely on the thick cloud as it scuttled across the sky, knowing she needed to stand but afraid of what might happen when she tried to make the cloud bear more weight. Everything she knew about the world already suggested she should be plummeting through the sky. But then, what she had previously known about the world obviously didn't hold true anymore. If the world she lived in now was a place where a Pegasus could fly through the air and battle a dragon made of fire using a rainstorm. Yes, things had changed since the world of her birth. Every day Riley was reminded of how much she wanted things back to the way they were supposed to be. Still, she couldn't deny there was something wonderful about literally riding through the sky on a magical cloud with a Pegasus pushing it for her. Ignoring certain inconvenient facts, Riley's life was the dream of many children. Her brain didn't work the way it used to. Now all she had to do was consider a thought, and in the time it would have taken her to form a few words before, she could fully explore its every facet. Thus, in the time it took her to look up at cloudy skies and prepare to listen for what she had to say, Riley had made a mental list of all the good things her life had going right now. 1. No rules. 2. No need to wait to buy things, she could just take what she wanted. 3. She could eat anything she wanted, nothing made her sick anymore. 4. She had a whole city to explore whenever she wanted, at least until the newest wave of settlers had arrived. 5. She was no longer hungry on a daily basis, but now felt sated and strong constantly. 6. No more school. Marked out. 7. No more being bullied. 8. Great new friends like Adrian and Alex. And just like that, before even fully exploring her first thought, a separate branch of Riley's consciousness immediately shifted to the list that was on her mind more and more since the immigrants had arrived, all the lousy things. She ranked them in order of the amount of discomfort they gave her. Not because she wanted to, or because she liked lists very much, but because she had to. 1. Being a freaky monster. 2. Mom and Dad are gone. 3. People hate her. 4. No more Facebook. 5. Live TV is gone. 6. Not sure what she's eating. 7. Not sure if she wasn't a monster. Thus went her considerations, in the time it took cloudy skies to say, "You know, Riley, I've been thinking." It took an effort of will for her to turn her attention on the pony, offering her one hoof to help her clamber up onto the cloud. Riley did so only after spreading her legs, anchoring herself so the effort would not make her fall. Other ponies felt light to her, so she wasn't worried. One tug was all it took. There was something strange about the way she heard voices ever since her transformation, something shallow and washed out. She never let it show in her face, though. Hadn't ever told anyone about it, not even Adrian. "I've been thinking you could use another name." Sky reached forward, tugging her hood away from her face so she could see her. Riley braced herself for the wave of revulsion and fear, but it never came. Instead she felt only compassion. It was the difference between tasting the putrid smell of oil in the air and the sweet perfume of a roast cooking downstairs. It wasn't food, not yet. But it was clothes. Ponies need pony names. Even if you only use it as a nickname, like the others. It's high time some pony give you one. Does that mean you think I'm a pony now? She asked without thinking, the words spilling out of her mouth before Sky had a chance to resume speaking. Sky retreated a step, the cloud deforming under the pressure of her hooves. Her ears flattened, and she nodded. Guess I probably deserve that. She reached out, patting Riley on the shoulder. Riley might have pulled away in disgust from someone whose mere presence had made her feel hated and feared, and who happened to be dating the pony she was living with, so she was always around. Riley the child had been that way, but Riley the changeling was much more pragmatic. She felt a few slivers of love in that gesture, so she accepted it. You were always a pony. Sky glanced down over the edge of the cloud, though there wasn't much to see. They had merged with the thousands of other clouds that had transformed the day from clear to overcast, hiding the earth from sight. This worked to their advantage, since otherwise she was sure they would have stood no chance of escape. As it was, their chances still didn't look good. I guess I just took a little longer to figure it out. One day I hope you'll forgive me. Black light. Sky nodded, as though immensely satisfied. Riley quivered under a sudden wave of emotion, a wave so sharp and intense it caused her to gasp and nearly fall over. Life rushed into her, from the pony that had never given her life before. No matter how many times Riley experienced it, feeding was never less intense. She felt whatever emotion drove the pony, rushing through her mind as though experienced 1,000 times as intense. Mere affection became zealous passion, more than her young life had ever prepared her to feel. Stronger emotions, like the fatherly paternalism Adrian felt for her, came to her as an almost worshipful zeal. The rush flowed into her as though it were air, lighting up her body with a tingling electricity that raged inside her chest like a storm. It rushed throughout her whole body, surging into every pore and healing all the little scratches and bruises she had acquired during her daring escape to the roof of the bank. For some reason, giving her a new name was extremely important to Cloudy Skies. A name given like that had power, though she didn't yet understand why. If the name was synonymous with Sky's kindness, then she would probably end up using it at least some of the time. A new name for a new life? Sounds nice. Riley nodded, shaking some of the water out of her sweatshirt. She hadn't exactly dressed for the rain, and the garment clung to her like a parasite, sapping her warmth. If Sky wasn't going to be disgusted anymore, then she would take advantage. She shrugged it off without a second thought. Unfortunately, she didn't anticipate at least one of the consequences of removing a jacket up here. As it turned out, clouds did not hold jackets very well. Danjit. Riley glared down at the opening in the cloud, watching it close. I didn't think. Yet. Sky grinned. No big deal. They'll never find it. She sighed, holding out her radio. Riley could see it had been soaked through, and the fancy LCD display was now a little black and brown explosion. When Sky twisted the dials, it only crackled once before going quiet again. I don't suppose you've got a satellite phone in those gym shorts of yours. Riley shook her head. It's too big to carry. I had a regular walkie-talkie in my jacket, but, she shrugged. It was probably broke anyway, like yours. We should get the waterproof ones next time. Sky sat down on her haunches, frowning off at the horizon. What should we do, Riley? Wanderlust is still down there. He probably needs rescuing. Our friends are up in Philadelphia and don't know what's happened. They might not know whether or not the visitors are really dangerous. We've already lost Alexandria. This is a mess. Of all her statements, the first motivated little Riley the most. He cared about her, he had stopped her from starving. He gave her a place to live. She owed him for all that. More than that, he was her friend. If he had been safe, he never would have let a mob find her in that bank. That meant he was in danger. Her mind simultaneously considered each and every possible permutation of their actions, at least so far as she understood the world. Being a queen removed the restrictions of sequential thought, but it did not impart any additional wisdom. Even so, Riley found herself coming to a decisive conclusion within another second or two. There's too many. She spread her wings in what she hoped would be a definitive, hopeless gesture. They're too good with magic. If we had to fight a dragon on the ground, we'd get roasted. She shivered. I don't want to be roasted. Pause. Do you know Enipone's phone numbers? Sky shook her head. I know if we call the operator on the Iridium network it should get forwarded to his phone, or someone in the HPI if he doesn't answer. Okay, that works. Then, we should land far away from Alexandria, where they can't see us. Sky took a moment to process the suggestion. It'll be way harder for them to find us on the ground. If it wasn't cloudy, we'd be in trouble. You think we should get a phone, then hide out somewhere until we hear back from our friends? Riley moved past her, feeling more and more confident on the cloud as the seconds passed. She had been afraid of heights before today. Now, she wasn't so sure she even remembered why she was supposed to be afraid. Once we tell them, we could try to sneak up at night and see what happened to Adrian. If we think it's safe. Or we could just wait until they get here, their plane is really fast. I don't think we should wait. Sky glared over her shoulder, in the direction of Alexandria. They had to come here for a reason, right? I'm sure mean ponies wouldn't have come just to ruin our lives. Probably. I'm sure there's something in all the runes I saw Joseph could have figured out. She took out a regular cell phone from her satchel, as drenched as the radio had been. The screen flashed and came back a mess, just like everything else. Figures. She tossed the phone to one side, where it plunged through the cloud and out of sight. No. Riley wasn't sure what she was doing, or even how she was doing it. All she knew was that she didn't want to lose that phone. To her shock, she found the waterlogged phone levitating back up towards them, glowing bright green. A similar glow came from her forehead, right up until she set it back down in Sky's hooves. Don't you know anything about phones? Sky sighed. I got my first phone 6 months ago. I never had one before the event. Riley was silent for a few moments, not knowing what to say to that. Eventually she gave up on a logical response, and just said, we just need some rice. Though, it probably would have helped if you hadn't tried to turn it on. If we turn it off, somebody like Joseph might still be able to get the pictures off. She leaned closer, curious. What did you see, anyway? What set them off? Sky rose to her hooves. Not very much. But, we should probably walk a little ways from here before we try to come down. She gestured left, to the alien landscape rising around them. I can tell you on the way. I don't want Carol or some pony to find us up here. Yet. Could Riley even walk on clouds this uneven without being able to fly like Sky could? She was about to find out.